Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado. And today my guest is Brett Currier. He's an Army veteran, but he also has a business called Vetgigs that we're going to talk a little bit more about. So please help me welcome Brett. Brett, welcome to Sisters in Service.
Thanks so much, Kat. I'm really excited to be here and excited to share a bit about my story and vet gigs with you and your listeners.
Absolutely. I love that name, by the way, but we'll get back into that in a second. So you are an Army veteran. So I always ask this of my veterans. Did you pick the Army or did the Army pick you?
It's actually a really interesting story because, like many, Army brats myself, my dad tried to get me to join the Air Force, assuring me that it would be a much better standard of life. And he's like, you do Air Force, whether you do Navy, I promise they're going to take care of you better than the Army. But me being the young buck I was, I wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. I ended up going with the Army.
Isn't that funny? I wanted to go in the Navy. I'm an Air Force brat. And I was going to go in the Navy until the recruiter said, you could be like 6 months on a ship, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not me. And so, you go with what you know, right?
It's
I
true.
mean, not that I really knew the Air Force, but I was familiar with it. So that's pretty cool. So how long were you in?
So I was in for 12 years. Recently actually ETS'd after 12 years in the Army and Army National Guard, and I got out this past April of 2020.
And so getting out, regardless of the reason why, how was your transition? Was it easy? Was it what you thought it would be? Was it more difficult? Tell us a little bit about your transition.
Yeah, and my transition really kind of happened in two parts because I did have that National Guard service. And the first big transition I had off of active duty was when I was getting back from Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I had been full time for almost 4 years or so at that point. And unfortunately, I had the unfortunate experience of losing a close battle buddy who really kind of helped me get through my time over there, really looked out after me as a mentor and kind of a big brother battle buddy figure. And just after a couple months being back, I lost him, and there was some difficulty with that certainly because that really started my feelings of really feeling like I had to do something about the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide, because this was someone who was so important for me and such a big figure in my life for my deployment. And then to lose him right when we came back was just really tough. And unfortunately, that actually continued, and I have since lost two more close battle buddies due to suicide.
Oh,
And with the
goodness.
last one, it just really drove me to leave my what was my dream job at Deloitte Consulting, to make an impact in the way I knew how, which was helping veterans find a new sense of purpose in professional services after the military. Because I was lucky enough to find my new sense of professional purpose, leaving the military in consulting. Um, it's that was a common thread I was able to really find between those three battle buddies I lost. Was they went from being real hard chargers in the military, where they were each responsible for huge budgets, many other soldiers under them as non-commissioned officers, and then they got to the civilian world, and the jobs that were marketed to them were just really kind of low wage jobs where they weren't going to be
Less
able to
than.
put all their exactly,
Yeah.
security guard jobs and really low level intro law enforcement jobs. Not there's anything wrong with either of those, but they don't give you the veterans a chance to use their wealth of experience, hard skills and soft skills they bring to the table.
Because we bring a
So
lot, I think, more than someone who's been in school for 4 years with a degree, and there's nothing wrong with the degree. But if I have someone with a 4 year degree and no experience, but someone with no degree and 20 years experience, guess what? I'm going with the experienced person. And I think one of the things
mhm,
that I really talk to people who are transitioning is, who are you? What do
mhm,
you like to do when you're not in uniform? Who are you? You're not sergeant, colonel, lieutenant. You're you. Who are you?
Hmm.
What do you do on your off time? And that's what I think people need to start realizing is who they are, what they want to do. So I always tell people, 2 years out, a minimum, start thinking about these things because it's important,
Hmm.
because when I got out, there was nothing. And I found my way slowly but surely, but I found my way. And I was, I wasn't going to give up. I was just going to do it. But I do remember getting out of the military because I was a project manager in communications. And I sat in front of this guy who I swear was 12 years old. And he said, yeah, this is all great, but if you just had a degree. And I said, didn't you see those 20 years on that page?
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, I got a quick pivot. I got to do something else, which I did. But it's very disconcerting. Just like when you said, that people are put in charge of millions of dollars worth of people and assets.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
More
even
than
your lowest
anything,
level private in
yes,
the Army is often responsible for over $300,000 worth of equipment. Even
mhm,
if they don't have direct reports, they're responsible for the lives of the person to the left, to the right, everyone in their gun truck.
exactly.
And it's when you go from that to being in a position where you're told your experience isn't
Mhm,
transferable, you really got to start at an entry level gig, or even those as lucky as myself to make it into
mhm.
consulting. I got my dream job in consulting, but I was starting as an analyst with people who had never had a job before. Their only qualification was they were hired out of a target school.
Right.
And, that's just such a disservice to the company who's hiring them because, I had over 30 direct reports and I was in the Army. I had been running operations of over 5,000 personnel and had millions of dollars of equipment, which I was regularly, in charge of as well.
And don't lose
And
any of it or misplace
yeah,
it.
exactly. And so Deloitte was regularly underutilizing me. And, it was so funny because they were just regularly throwing me on all these projects where I had people 4 or 5 levels above me who, I was supervising because I was the man for the job. But I could have done so much more if I had actually been at a higher level because I would have had access to all the new equipment, the
All
systems
the
that
bells and
those people.
whistles. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're trying to do a job where they're like, here's a pen and here's paper. Write it
Yeah,
down for
yeah,
us. And you're like, what? I just
yeah.
think it's just really sad. I wish there was some program or someone who had those skills where they could just look at someone coming out of the military and say, these are the jobs that you can, you know what I mean? That would just
Hmm.
transfer those skills automatically, from
Yeah, and that's
leadership, those soft skills, those hard skills. Here are your jobs. And you could apply for those instead of guessing, oh, well, maybe I might be good at this. And so I think
exactly.
sometimes what we're broken down to is what we did in the military, which,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, being a communications project manager was great, but it was a desk job. And I'm like, I need something different. I didn't want to be pigeonholed anymore. Um,
Yeah.
so did you, speaking on identity, did you have an identity problem coming out of the military?
Absolutely. And I think that's really something that I've continuously had to work on. Even today, I still feel like there's so many elements of the transition process that, I'm still experiencing. I mean, look, even my business I started outside of my full-time consulting job that pays the bills is so structured around what I know in the military and these issues that we face in our community. So, some, maybe my wife included, would say my transition is really not complete and not maybe as effective as I think it is. But it's something we continuously work on because the military is what we know. It's a life we've been steeped in for years and years,
Years.
decades even,
Yes.
and you can't turn that off overnight. So what
I
I
think,
try and do is take the most productive pieces of
mhm,
it and use it to help out my battle buddies, even those I don't know yet from different services.
right. I was going to say that I think that I don't think transition is a thing. I think it's continuous. You know what I mean? Like it's not just okay, yes, you transition from the military, but then you have to transition into being a veteran. Then you transition from veteran into whatever, and then you transition from, your veteran status to being an entrepreneur. And then it's this it's always evolving, I think. You know
I
what I mean?
agree.
It's just not transition from active duty to veteran. You're always transitioning in some form or fashion. But I do believe that the skills that we have help us get through for the most part. We just dig
Definitely.
deep. When things are hard, we're like, oh, okay, I'm not budging. So, you pull hard and I pull hard and we'll see who falls down first. We're just going to, stick it to the end. But
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Vetgigs. Now, before you go there, how did you come up with the name Vetgigs? Because I'm always fascinated by this because you want the name to be like, you don't want it to be this long drawn out thing. You don't want it to be
Yeah.
cheesy, but you want to go, oh, people will remember that. So how did you come up with the name Vetgigs? And then tell us a little bit about it.
Well, there were many iterations, I can tell you that. And, I very well could have ended up with something else, but part of it was domain availability, and I dealt with so many domain trolls when I was looking for the name. So many people that had just bought up all these random domains and were just trying to get as much as they could from it. So, I had to end up finding one from my top selection list that would make the most sense to veterans, make the most sense to employers, because those are two main user bases, and one that I could afford being an entirely kind of self-funded operation.
Right.
So I went from VetWorks, Veteran Works, Vet Connect. I must have gone through 50 different potential names and bugged my family to death by, running each of the possibilities by them. But I'm quite happy with Vetgigs
So
and what we've ended up with.
when you found that name, did you just go, yes, that's it? Did you do that? Because I did that. I remember
I
writing down
did.
all of these names and I would take number 1 and match to number 10. And I'm like, no. And then I take number 10 and match to number 5. I'm like, no. But then when you're there, you're like, that's it. Is that how
Yep.
you felt when you found it?
It definitely was. And I maybe cried a little bit on the inside when I was buying
So
the
we all,
domain
it's
because it
like
hurt
having a
so much.
baby,
I was
taking care
like,
of a child.
this costs so much. But I'm very happy we secured it, and very happy with the name. And I think is one that's made a good amount of sense to our users. So
Yeah.
happy I made
And it
that
just rolls
investment.
off the tongue. You don't have to sit there and
Yeah.
remember things. So tell us, what is Vetgigs?
So, VetGigs at its core is an online talent marketplace that connects veterans to employers looking to hire these veterans or military spouses in the professional services space. And professional services can be anything ranging from technology jobs, implementing large information systems or maintaining them, to consulting jobs like what I do now. And consulting really has three parts: technology, strategy, and operations, or like business consulting, as it's commonly known, or management consulting, and the human capital side, doing organizational change management, coming up with new operational systems and things like that for large organizations. So all things that us as veterans are really good
Wow,
at.
that's a lot.
Um, it is. It is. And one of the things one of the reasons I focused on professional services is because the income is great. The starting salaries you can expect, or the starting bill rates if you're a freelancer, which our platform supports and enables, it's so high that it launches most military families into new socioeconomic ladder steps.
Right.
And you don't have to be a coder or just a deep tech person or a business savant to have to do this. The technology side for functional jobs are often like configuration things. It's no more complicated than changing the settings on your social media pages, pretty
Oh,
much.
I can do that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so it's more a matter of tenacity,
Mm,
because, it's going and using the free resources that are available to us as veterans, starting with mentorship and talking to mentors
Yes.
in the field you want to go into, and then learning about the free certifications you need to
Hmm.
really break in that are either going to demonstrate the knowledge you need or instantly qualify you for a job because it's a Salesforce, Workday, or some other kind of technology certification that
Right.
says you know how to implement these systems. And it's great income and allows us to find a new sense of purpose after the military because your direct counterpart is often at a director level. You are responsible for for very high value dollar projects, and you own your sense of the mission while having a strong sense of autonomy, and all of that
Right.
is very comparable to the military.
Yes, it
um,
is. You even if you
yeah,
were by yourself, there was like you get the job done. We don't care. Just get
exactly.
it done. So it sounds really awesome because I believe wholeheartedly that when people put their resume in to some machine bot online, that I feel like it's just sitting there. You know,
It's a black hole.
Yes. And so a lot of veterans, and correct me if I'm wrong, will put military service right at the top of their resume. A lot of times that's all that's there because they've
Hmm.
been in 10, 15, 20 plus years. Okay. And I feel as though, and I don't want to sound, I don't know what the word is, but I think that the veteran status should be on top a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It should be at the
yeah.
top. And I feel like that it's not a lot of times, and that when when a veteran is looking for a job, that I truly believe that it's another veteran that's going to say, "Oh, you know what? I know this person who I think you should talk to."
Hmm.
And so, I believe it's in who you know, not in the bot that you put your resume in. I don't care how many resumes you put in there. I believe it's person to person, and hopefully veteran to veteran. But if I am coming to you, I've heard about Vetgigs. I have my little resume. What happens after I bring myself to you with my resume, and what happens after that? Take us through the
And
process.
that's a really great question. So, one of the things I've tried to do with Vetgigs when we built it out is really keep that structure in mind, and really use my network of different employers and leaders in professional services to open up opportunities for the veteran community, both veterans and military spouses. So, and we've also tried to build it out so it's not a platform you need to be on all the time in order to take advantage. You come with your qualifications, and we'll even help you build out your profile to show your full marketability. So you can go on, you can create a free profile on www.vetgigs.com. Then you input in your information, your proof of service, a DD 214 with your, PII redacted, a picture of your VA ID card, VFW ID card, something like that, that shows you have an honorable discharge. You input all of your skills in, those hard skills you have, soft skills, and maybe you don't have a ton right now that's translatable to the civilian world or that you think is translatable to the civilian world, but we all built soft skills in the military, so you can start with that. Things like training, facilitation, critical thinking skills, all of those. And then work with us at VetGigs and our partners like AllegiantGiving.org, who give out free Coursera licenses to get those top-notch certifications I was telling you about before. And then as you build those other skills, those hard skills, those technology skills, certifications, you go and put those in your VetGigs profile. And what you're doing is having in all these attributes then on your VetGigs profile. So, you know, next year when Deloitte posts a job on VetGigs and says, "Hey, we're looking for a contractor with critical thinking skills, workday experience, and these other two things." Well, it's going to match then with your profile because you put in critical thinking on your profile as a skill, and you'll get an email saying, "Hey, you should." Send in a free proposal for this gig at Deloitte, Deloitte Consulting. And Deloitte gets an email and says, "Hey, you should invite these veterans to send in a proposal for the gig you just posted because they're at 87, 62, and 95% match to your gig based on skills and other criteria."
Right.
Um, And then, really, on the Vetgigs platform, we try and iron out all the pain points that come with freelancing. Finding work, number one. Number two is coming to an agreement on the terms. So we make it really easy instead of sending in a 500-page statement of work that you've gone back and forth with the employer on over weeks. We have simple milestone functionality that says, look, I want to be paid weekly, monthly, or in one single milestone. And this is the work I'll complete. Maybe you'll do change management work 40 hours a week or at $110 an hour, or whatever it may be. And then once you decide, you agree on the terms, you both finalize the deal. And then that's where the last big part of our value comes in, which is ensuring that freelancers get paid safe and fast using Stripe. So, based on the terms that you agreed upon with your employer, Stripe on that payment date after you put in your hours is just going to pull the funds right from the employer's account and put it right in yours. So you make sure you're never having to chase down employers.
I
And
love that. Anything that just
yeah,
pops right into your bank account. It's like, yes.
right, right. And you talk to most former freelancers, and they'll say that's why they stopped doing it because it was so boom or bust. They had a hard time finding work. It was too difficult to come to an agreement on the work, and they had a difficult time getting paid. So we try and help with all of that. And actually, people are finding jobs on our platform as well because employers are posting jobs for W-2 as well, and just immediately converting the user on the platform from a freelancer to a employee right away. So we try and
So
facilitate that as well.
is the goal to you I could so here let me know if I'm wrong. So I apply at Vetgigs, I put my information in. You guys come back and say, wow, you've got these soft skills, but you really need this, these certifications or whatever. You go get those, you upload that to the Vetgigs database or to your profile. And I can either do freelance, and if the company likes what I want, like what I've done, that they could hire me permanently if that's what I want. So I can put either I just want freelance or I want freelance and a 9 to 5, to eventually. So is that something that, is that what, am I correct in that?
Yeah, so we can facilitate both. And at our core, we are a freelancer marketplace. So you're creating a profile on VetGigs and then basically sending in proposals. So your relationship is going to be directly between the employer and the freelancer. And we just facilitate it on our platform. But that said, a lot of times the employers will post a gig on there and they're like, hey, we love this person. We want to immediately hire them for a full-time job. And there's they won't even have a freelance gig. And so if that's what works well for the freelancer too, and they're like, yeah, I'd love to work with you guys as an employee, then they make that agreement and it works
Mhm.
out well for everyone. And then some others will stay on the platform, to your point, and just work as a freelancer because they like the flexibility. They like the fact that every time they get a new certification, they can charge that new market value and they're never having to go and ask their employer for a raise. And they really get the most flexibility to choose the people they're working for, the projects they're working for, and the type of work. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and freelancers actually tend to work a lot less per month because they're only working the amount of hours they're billed
Yeah, they're
to
like,
their
I want to
client.
work this many hours. And you're like, okay, cool. And that works for a lot of people. Some people like that, that permanent paycheck like we got in the military, the first and the 15th. It's they're like clockwork. But I think also that this is awesome that you guys do this. And I really wish that other organizations would recognize what we as veterans bring to the table and be able to say, you know what, you don't have this, but let's see what we can get you.
Yeah.
Let's, I don't want to say train you because that's not the word I'm looking for, but let's get you a mentor. Let's get you to the point where you can possibly do this. But on the outside,
Hmm.
there's egos, there's salaries, it just gets messy. And the
It
one thing that
does.
I found, getting a job outside of the military is that, in the military, if you and I had to work together, Brett, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, you just didn't like me because everybody likes me, but we didn't get along. In the military, they don't
Mhm.
care.
Yep.
They say, look, get the job done, get the mission completed. But see, on the outside, if you were my boss and I could be the best of the best of the best in the job that I'm in, if you don't like me, you can get rid of me.
So true.
And that's
So true.
so sad because we get these egos in the way and everything, but I don't want to go there because that's a whole nother discussion. So, how can the veteran community help vet gigs?
Well, first off, I highly recommend going on and making a profile because even if you're not looking for something now, by going in and keeping your profile updated with the different skills out there, you can, be matched with opportunities at any point. And, it's a really good way to keep your finger on the pulse of what's out there. Second off, we're happy to help you from a training and mentorship point of view. We have really great relationships with other veteran organizations out there, such as Allegiant Giving, Act Now Education, and many others. So we work with them to provide free Coursera licenses to veterans and military spouses and even veteran dependents looking to grow their experience and grow their marketability in the civilian workforce. And one way we're actually helping them is by building out custom learning pathways. So if you reach out to any of us and you're like, hey, I'm really interested in being a functional consultant, and this being a tech consultant in some way, what courses could I take? And we'll send them a course list. Or if you say, hey, I want to be in cybersecurity, we'll send you another course list. And even do our best to set you up with other veteran mentors in the field who have been there, done that, and can really, can help you and coach you along the way. So
I love that. All right, so I know you're based in Texas, correct?
we are,
So
yep.
can you help someone who's a veteran in North Carolina?
You got it. We can help veterans and military spouses all around the world, in fact. So we've been engaging with some out in Guam and Puerto Rico, really all over the world. And that's the wonderful thing about consulting, the wonderful thing about professional services and our freelancer marketplace is as long as you're a veteran or military spouse, we're here to help you. We're here to help you, help grow your career, and just help link you up with all the many opportunities out there. Whether it benefits us and provides us revenue or not, we're here to help, just like we were in the military.
Right.
And you could be living anywhere in the world at this point, and we're here for you.
I love that. I do. I love that. So if someone wants to take part in what VetGigs has to offer, where would they go?
Well, first, I'd go to vetgigs.com. You can go on there. You'll see on the top right, register. You can create a free account and feel free and shoot us an email at info@vetgigs.com if you have any questions too. We really are here to help. And, whether that's just talking you through different opportunities you have, helping you get the learning resources you need,
Mhm.
setting you up with mentors to really help you decide what is right for you, or whether you already have those skills and it's a matter of really just having that extra coaching and extra help to get you employee referrals, to get the W-2 job of your dreams, or getting you set up with the really lucrative professional services opportunities out there. And at this point, we have tons of jobs on our platform. I think we have 14 gigs up right now, all high-paying professional services gigs wide open, and they're all accepting proposals. So jump on there, check it out, and you have nothing to lose. Free to create an account, free to send in as many proposals as you want, and you can reduce the commission as low as 1% on the platform by referring other battle buddies, veterans, and military spouses onto the platform too. So if you look at getting work later, you can have that commission reduced down really as low as possible. So we're trying to make that system as cheap as possible. We're just kind of covering our costs.
Absolutely. So what happens if an organization hears about vet gigs and they want to go on board? How do you vet those organizations that want to be a part of vet gigs?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So I actually have a personal conversation with all of our employers, generally at one point or another. And at this point, I've talked to every single one. And we have a really cool group of different employer partners. Largest of which being AppDirect, a large technology e-commerce company, and they're really supportive of our mission. And their CHRO, Deb Tenenbaum, actually sits on our board of advisors. But we also have, former aide to the Secretary of the Army, left his post and started a firm, connecting veterans with opportunities in government contracting space, and he uses us to fill all of his positions as well. We also have Aligned Consulting, a consulting firm out of Chicago that hires for a lot of technology positions, and they try and source all of their positions they can through us as well. So we just have a really open and close relationship with all of our employers.
Mhm.
And they're all really excited to try and open up these opportunities to the veteran community because, like you had mentioned before, it really does take a special kind of leader to not just see the kind of value we present, but to really give us a chance and say, look, I realize you may not have 10 years of directly applicable experience as a tech consultant or whatever kind of role we're hiring, but I can see how all of this wealth of experience you're bringing to the table really plugs in. And with just the tiniest little learning curve to get some of those hard skills that you missed before, it's just all going to fall into place. And you're going to be a just tremendously valuable part of our organization.
I know. I wish that was all the organizations would look at something like that, but they just look at what's on the paper, and sometimes not even that. So if someone has a question about vet gigs, how would they contact you or the organization?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me either on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me via info@vetgigs.com or even my personal email as well through Vetgigs, Brett@vetgigs.com. That's BRETT at vetgigs.com. And I, pretty much have an open door policy with the veteran community. I let folks know, if you want to talk, you need a battle buddy, whatever it is, reach out. I'll send you my calendar link, or we can talk ad hoc if you need to, and can't afford to wait till there's an opening on my calendar. You have so many people out here that are here to support you. We may not be on active duty anymore, and just have somebody in the next barracks room we can go over to, but that support doesn't go away. It just may feel like it sometimes. And myself, other people at Vetgigs, and other people at the organizations and the network of veteran organizations we work with at Vetgigs are all here to help. We got our hand out, and just got to reach out, and we're here to support you along the way.
Yeah, the support it sounds amazing. So you heard it here. Let's make Brett really, really busy and flood vet gigs with all kinds of proposals. Um, Brett, it's been such a pleasure having you on. And I hope that, not that I hope, I know that this is going to be a big deal. So from a year from now, you're going to be like, I'm so busy. I'm like, I know. You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Kat. This is really great. Uh,
Well, thank you for being a part of Sisters in Service. And for everyone else, you know what I'm going to say. As always, please stay safe, take care of each other, and until next time.